Do you want more? More time, more balance, more love, more sex, more money, more real, and less bullshit? This is the Women Wanting More podcast with Dr. Karen Osborne. Real life, real stories, plus real tips to get you more of what you want.
So here's a message I would like to deliver to you today, sister, as I'm arriving away from dropping off my boys at school today. And the message is this: you don't have to have it all together. You don't have to have it all together. And I am, what is the word I'm looking for? Exhausted? No, that's not it. Tired of seeing everybody make appearances in person and online that everything is great when it's not. Now, you get to decide what you want to share with friends, with the world. Like, that's fine. But to me, when you only show the highlight reel, when you only show the good stuff, when you only show the kind of the happy times, it is this warped and twisted way of showing the world of how your life is. And you know, this is not a conversation about social media. It has nothing to do with that. Because listen, I can remember growing up as a kid, to my mom, it was really important that even though she kind of hoarded stuff and, you know, just kept piles of shit all over the house, everything was literally stuffed into closets when people came over so that they wouldn't see the messes, right? So, you know, and there's also times been, you know, families, couples that just make it for everything's great, but inside the house, different stuff is going on, right? Maybe the appearance of a marriage that looks beautiful and wonderful, but really it's like it's a mess and falling apart. They just don't show those sides. So what does this do to us when we don't live a life that's truly who we are? What does it do to us? Well, for those of us that are maybe hiding or you know, by omission, not telling the truth as to some of the things that are going on. And again, like, you can decide what that is for you. I don't mean you got to be like, hey, you know what? Let me roll it down. This is happening in my marriage. This is happening with my kids. This is happening with my, you know, extended family. This is happening with my business. Like, my life is just a mess. If you want to, if you feel that has value to share, then yes. But it could be something just simple. Right? Something really simple. But what this creates is when you only show that highlight reel, this, you know, this need to please or to show everybody this like perfect side of you. I know you think that it makes people think a certain way about you, right? Like, oh, well, if they really knew what was going on, they wouldn't like me. If they really knew the struggles I was having, they would stop looking up to me. If they really knew the thoughts I had in my head, they'd think I was like crazy. But I'm going to have you consider this, my sister, my brother. All that stuff is just bullshit. It is not true, because I want you to think of a time that you've read someone's, you know, post on Facebook, sharing something about a struggle that they're going through, and how real and how honest and how brave they are to do that. That's kind of gave it away. How real it is for them to do that. When you have a friend that comes to you and shares something, and how honored that you feel when they have the courage and the audacity to actually open up and to share this with you, right? When we see people that do these things, we don't think that they're weak, which is what you often think, and the reason you don't do it. We don't think that, oh my God, their life is such a mess. You know what we think? We go, oh my God, I'm so glad that they share that with me. I'm honored. I'm so glad someone's telling the truth. And oh my God, there's somebody like me too. Do you realize that? When you show, you know, the chinks in your armor, when you show these sides of you that aren't this perfect thing at all, not a perfect mom, not a perfect wife, not a perfect woman, not a perfect business, and not a perfect human. Like, that is part of the human experience, is our imperfections and our flaws. So when you show people that, what they're saying is, oh my God, somebody like me. Thank God somebody's saying this. Like, when I first started my original podcast, my first podcast was called Mom at 41. which you can still go listen to. I ran that for it was a little bit over a year. I started in, let me see, July, I think it was July of 2014, and ended in August of 2015. So just over a year, 13 months. Sounds like a baby's age, kid's age, right? 13 months. When I started sharing that stuff, that was absolutely with this podcast, with Women Wanting More, but for sure with Moment 41, it became the, oh my God, thank you for sharing this. It feels like you're inside my head. Thank you for being the voice of what I'm really feeling that I didn't know how to articulate into words. Thank you for showing us these sides of you, because I thought I was the only one that goes through this stuff. And I get it, sister. I get it if the thought of you exposing these pieces of you scares the shit out of you, because I was there too. I remember when I was in practice, my husband and I, we had our chiropractic practice in St. Albert, Alberta, Canada for almost 14 years. And I remember having a chiropractic coach we had at the time that said to us, listen, when you're interacting with patients, don't talk about any of your stuff about your life. It's all about them. And I was like, well, that kind of makes sense. And, I have to withhold a certain, stature as their doctor, as their chiropractor. This is about serving them. And, I can't show any stuff because I thought that would be like weakness. Like if I showed them those bits and pieces, that they would somehow think less of me, or would not trust me, or would not think I was worthy to continue being their chiropractor. And what I found at that time is when I would we would have patients say, well, how are you? And I think by the time we started having kids, we were a lot more having open conversations, but it felt like the first half of practice more, it was very much like, this isn't about me. Let's talk about you. What's going on with your health? How are your kids? And it created this very convenient armor around me where I didn't have to share anything with anybody, including my husband a lot of times. And so I would just take those things that I was feeling, insecurities, struggles, doubts, fears, the stuff that we all have at different times in our life. There's no such thing as fearless. We all have them at different times in our life. And I stuffed that shit down. And I stuffed it down, and I stuffed it down, and I stuffed it down. And there would be moments, right, where I'm just so tired, I'm just so exhausted, I'm just so raw that, I would just be watching some silly commercial or something. Well, there were still commercials. There was still live TV, not on demand. And it would be just something really simple, and I was just I would just start bawling, right? I still remember my husband still jokes with me about this. Watching the movie The Rock, okay? Not with the actor The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, but The Rock. It was a movie with Nicolas Cage and Sean... Oh my God, who was James Bond? I can't remember his right now. I cannot think of his name. Scottish. He was James Bond. He was in Hunt for Red October. It's going to come back to me. I've forgotten his name. Anyways, so watching that movie and being bawling at a certain point where he thinks his wife is somehow taken by, I don't know, the bad guys in some way. There's literally a split second where you think that she's hurt or dead, and then a few seconds later, oh, she's fine. But in that quick moment, I lost it. I just lost it. I was just beside myself. And so Ed jokes to me about this, but that was that time in my life where it could be any little thing, any little, and that would be it. It would just trigger this, everything would start to come up. And a lot of times that didn't come out in sadness, it came out in anger. It came out in anger. Because behind anger is actually fear. Behind anger is fear. So it's a way to produce that protective armor, that shield around you, which I did very, very well for a number of years. Until I just simply couldn't do it anymore. And it wasn't serving, it was eating me up inside. And so the moments that I began to share what was really going on, as scary as it was, and the beginning of this for me was in the online space. It was in blogging. I decided to my youngest, or my only boy at the time, but now my oldest son Tyson was probably about 1.5 years. And I've had this feeling that I need to write a book forever. Now I'm actually working on the book, but it started with blogging, and it started with blogging, and I was just kind of share just like really more surfacey things, or start to get a little bit deeper and deeper with every single one, and some that were just so raw I would literally just be bawling, like therapy, right? Like as you're writing and sharing all this stuff. And as I started to share more and more, I had more and more women come out of the woodwork and say, thank you for sharing that. Like, me too. Terrified of what people would think of me, knowing that patients were reading this blog and other people that knew me. Like, do I really want to expose this stuff about me? And so what was my whole point of this podcast? I did have a point to this. A reason to share all of this. A reason to not hide behind all of the stuff of appearing to be perfect and everything's great is that it's okay if it's not okay, if it's not great. We all have these times, these moments, these periods of our life. And the more that we stop pretending, like what you don't understand right now, sister, if this is something, this whole topic of conversation is like, Karen, I'll do the journaling thing. I'll do the, let me write something on a Post-it note and put it up and think about something. But like, don't ask me to like share. I don't want to do that. Like, no, nope. We're just going to like shut that vault down. Throw away the key. That's it. I mean, I was absolutely there too. And it was really, really scary to start doing this. But what I found is two things from this experience when I began. Number one, it was cathartic for me to stop pretending about these things. And I'm not saying that like you're lying. I'm not saying that I was lying. It was just, I didn't tell the whole story. And in effect, that kind of is, right? That's like lying by omission, by not sharing the whole story. And again, like I said at the top of this podcast, this isn't about, you got to tell everybody your stuff. And like, you need to decide what that is for you. You need to decide where that line is for you. You need to decide what that boundary is for you. I don't have a whole lot. I don't. Now, my husband has asked that I not share a lot of stuff about marriage anymore because it involves him. And I'm like, okay. So, you're going to hear that I don't really share that much about that anymore. As deeply as I did, because it's respecting his feelings and his wants and his wishes to keep a lot of that stuff private, and that's totally okay. I mean, I'd rather share it all, but, it involves somebody else. So, like, I get that, right? I get that some of you sometimes don't want to be posting stuff on social media with your kids because you're like, you know what? They don't really get a chance to decide yet, and I'm posting up stuff about them. Like, I get that too. I mean, I like it. I like putting up stuff with my kids. I like sharing stuff with my kids because it does, again, create this like, oh my God, you have this stuff too. You feel this way as a mother too. You yelled at your kids the other day too. So it creates two things when you begin to share up these experiences. Number one, again, cathartic for you. Like the load is lightened. The load is lightened off your shoulder when you begin to really share this. And the number two of this is that it allows you to connect with people like you can't even imagine right now until you actually begin to do it. Like it will blow your mind. Now, is there still people that might judge you in this process? Yes, of course. Listen, people are going to judge. But are you going to base your life experience around and the way that you choose to live your life and the decisions that you make based on what you think others may or may not think of you? That is bananas. You would never say that to your kids. And you certainly wouldn't say that to your best friend. Oh, wait a second. You better not do that because what will people think? No, you'd be like, fuck that, girlfriend. Do what you need to do. Live your life. Be who you are. But are you actually living that credo? Are you? Are you, sister? Because if you're not, the pretending and the lying by omission and the not really sharing the whole truth, believe me, it's going to get really heavy at a certain point. You're going to feel like you're buried in it. And all these thoughts that you have about what will people think and all these stories that you swirl in your head and your reasons for not actually sharing stuff, you're going to realize that a lot of that stuff is just not true. Like, you've never even examined that thought. Wait a second. How about if I test it first and try? How about if I test it? And even if people do that, it frees me up to be who I actually am. And what is that worth to you? You don't need to pretend anymore. You can actually choose to be exactly who you are and share all of it. And when you do, you're going to connect a lot more people than you piss off. And here's the beautiful thing. It becomes this, like a snowball, right? And that when you share that, it gives permission for other people to do the same. Now, the man, I don't know, I can't think of names today. Sean Connery, that was his name, the actor. For Sean Connery. Probably yelling it at the podcast before at your phone, like, here is Sean Connery, damn it. And I forget who ran the 4-minute mile for the first time. Carl Rogers? That's not it. Anyways, irregardless. It was always said that there's no way that a human can run a mile in 4 minutes. And as you might know the story, as soon as someone did, guess what? A lot of people did. See, he paved the way and showed what was possible. When you start to share things about yourself, when you start to be real and authentic, you be the actual you, warts and all, you give people permission to do the same thing. You go, oh man, well they did it, and look what they're doing. I can do it. So this is a win-win-win. You get to be who you truly are. You get to allow other people to be able to feel like they are not alone. And you actually now start to pay this forward in an effect of it will be the catalyst. You will be the catalyst. Your courage will be the catalyst for a lot of other women and men to start to do the same thing too. In a world that's dying for real and authentic, what a beautiful gift that you would give them if you were to have the courage to open up and actually be real about who you are, all of your experiences. Here's your more tip for today. I want you to do one thing today that actually shares something about you that you've kind of been hiding, like a flaw or something negative. You just want to share and go, you know what? Today I lost my shit with my kids. Like, you just simply want to get off your chest. And that could be a friend that you feel safe sharing with. It could be sister, mother, it could be your husband. Or it could be that you actually share something up on Facebook or Instagram or somewhere on social media where I'm going to write about this. And I'm telling you right now, I am telling you, sister, I'm telling you, brother, it will not only be an incredibly liberating experience for you, but you watch what happens when you actually begin to tell the truth. So I want you to have that conversation, write that post, whatever it is, share in some way within the next 24 hours. So sister, finishing up, if you do not already have your limited edition Woman Wanting More journal, orange leather, beautiful, with other swag, I'm going to send you for free. There are about 40-ish or so left. So I want you to head over to drkarenosborn.com. So that's drkarenosborn.com/free journal. You take care of a little bit of shipping. I do all the rest. So drkarenosborn.com/free journal. And by God, if you're not on the newsletter, this is your time to do it. drkarenosborn.com/action guide. I'm going to send you some amazing training videos. I'm going to send you the PDF, which is about the More For, which is to really teach you how to start your day in a place of power, and a short training video that goes along with it. And you get to be part of the tribe. There'll be some things that I'm only going to exclusively be announcing and having privy to if you're part of the newsletter, not here in the podcast. So head over to drkarenosborn.com/action guide, enter in your email, and I'll get you hooked up on that today. So I will talk to you on the next episode, sister. A life of more is one step away from you actually being the real you. Warts and all, every single day. I love and appreciate you. And P.S., we like that part about you the most. I love you, sister.
To get the show notes of each Women Wanting More episode, including the How to Get More tip, subscribe to the newsletter at drkarenosborn.com/newsletter.